What's up, everyone? Welcome back to my channel. I am your girl, Molinda Jae. I know it's been a long time coming, but we're back, okay? We're back. It's been a lot that has happened, but I'm here to do a review of the movie Inside Out. Now, I went and, well, me, my son, and my mother, we went to go watch Inside Out 2, the second installment of Inside Out. A Disney, I believe it's a Disney Pixar movie, if I'm not mistaken. But the umbrella, the parent umbrella is under Disney. We went to go visit when I was at my parents' place, and of course, Hurricane Beryl had came through, so we were not able to attend to go back, and so we just utilized that time to go see Inside Out 2. Okay. So, right off the bat, overall, what I think about the movie is that for one thing, I'm glad they are continuing on to producing another movie. Like, it seems like with this particular movie, and I'm gonna go ahead and say a movie saga, movie series, is that we're going to be introduced to new emotions as a person grows up, like the stages of growth. Of course, we've seen the first set of emotions with joy, sadness, fear, anger, and disgust. And now that Riley is is in puberty stage, going to high school. We're being introduced to another set of emotions, which are um, anxiety, envy, embarrassment, and ennui. All right. So without further ado, let's go ahead. Oh, and also nostalgia too. I forgot about nostalgia. And nostalgia, I do have to say this, nostalgia is my favorite character in the movie, even though she appears about a good 2-3 times, but 2 times at the most, at the least. I say nostalgia is my favorite character in the movie. um so, key things I want to address in this movie, and then I'm gonna say the main topics, and then I'm gonna go through on how I associate the things that happen in the movie with the topics. Okay. First thing is puberty. Puberty. Obviously, Riley is older now. She's in the adolescence. Of course, when puberty starts, that's when the real tests happen. Okay, we get the first test whenever the babies, when we have them as babies, and we're nurturing them and making sure all their needs are met. But once the children, like we have all encountered, once we hit adolescence, we start smelling ourselves, right? All right. So we got puberty, we got joy versus anxiety. We also have suppressed emotions. Um, Another key thing that I caught on with the movie, from my point of view, is finding a sense of belonging in and friendships and body language, as well as self acceptance and self realization. All right. So the first, going back to the first pointer of puberty. So of course, Riley is coming of age. She is heading to high school. Now, when we arrived in the in the movie theater, we were a bit late. So by the time we arrived in the movie theater, it was in the. I don't know if we missed. I wouldn't say a good chunk of it, but I know we missed something in the beginning. Hopefully, but if I did, then of course I'll be waiting for it to come out on Disney Plus, and I'll watch it from there. But we walked in the portion where Riley and her friends were doing a hockey match. And then, of course, they were approached by one of um, co- a renowned coach, hockey coach. and she is hosting a camp for all the girls in the community that would like to participate at her hockey camp. And obviously it's a big deal because all Riley and her friends, her two friends, were excited that they are not only getting approached by this person, but also being recognized on their efforts in the court, right? On the ice ring. So that's when they agreed to say yes. And while they, and then of course the next day, well, before the next day even follows that, that's when the first set of emotions, which is okay, well, let's go ahead and establish this now. The first set of emotions is the original emotions that was in the first movie, which is joy, sadness, anger, disgust, and fear. All right. So the first set of emotions was like, all right, well, she's going to sleep. We're going to take out all of the uh, compromising compromising memories, and we're going to shoot them up to the back of her consciousness. So it's more like a forget. It's almost like everything that we don't want Riley to remember and to keep in her memory, we're going to toss it in the back of a conscious of our subconscious, right? So obviously we see Joy taking all of the compromising memories, and she had obviously she has created this concoction to where she can insert those memories and plunge them all the way back to the consciousness. So obviously we all see that in the movie. The next point within this particular thing, that's when the demolition crew will come in and say, well, have y'all seen the first things first? The first set of emotions, they were confused because why are y'all busting in the headquarters like it's like a wrecking ball, right? They really came in like a wrecking ball, the demolition crew. And that is because they are giving them a heads up, if they don't know already, that the other set of emotions are about to come through, which is anxiety, envy, embarrassment, and ennui. Okay. So that's when they was confused, like, what's happening? Because before that demolition crew had came about, there was like, because the emotions, they was already in bed at the time, and they kept hearing a beeping noise. So the beeping noise was just like a signal of puberty is about to start. Okay. And it's crazy that the button just appeared out of nowhere on the motherboard, like a pimple appears out of nowhere when puberty starts. Um, because that's what I was getting the illusion with that as well. Now, following suit with continuing on with puberty and the coming of age, Joy had mentioned to the next set of emotions that they have been working with Riley for 13 years to establish a sense of self for Riley as being a good person, going through all the stages of life within the first half before puberty hit. Is, we've been established this for 13 years. Why are y'all coming in here busting it loose and stuff like that? So that's when anxiety was like, okay, well, we're here, we have a plan, and we have all the tools that we need to make sure Riley is doing what is best for Riley. And of course, the first set of emotions, they're still confused, they're still in shock. And that is when anxiety gives embarrassment the order for embarrassment to put the first set of emotions into the jar, or into the jar, to present to the audience as these are the first set of emotions that we're going to suppress, because now all these other emotions is going to start working, playing itself out as Riley goes into puberty. Okay, so that's what I'm getting with that regarding to puberty. And then the second portion leading to the second portion of the suppressed emotion. Now, I like how the way they depicted the suppressed emotions in the jar and having them put into the vault of secrets, because that's what happens when emotions are suppressed. We put them in a jar, basically an imaginary jar, and we go ahead and let it sit there in the vault until those emotions can't take any much longer and steps in and bursts out and do what is necessary to get back to the headquarters, or just letting it all out in real life, right? So in my notes here, let's see. In the notes here. Okay, I think I have addressed the suppressed emotions on that, because I did put down not letting her tears. Oh, another part thing I want to address as a scene in the movie regarding to suppressed emotions is when Riley had found out. Well, first off, Riley was excited that they're attending this camp, and then throwing out the notion that we're once we get done with camp, we're going to be unstoppable in high school. And the other two friends was like giving the concerned look, which leads to discuss the clock the T on the body language. Okay, the body language between Riley and the other two friends. And so Discuss and Riley was looking at the two other, like, okay, they're hiding something. So what are they hiding? And the other two friends Discuss was like, why is Riley looking at that? And I believe it was the black friend um that was like, oh, Riley is catching what we are, that Riley is seeing that we're withholding information from her. Okay. And which is something that we all have to pay attention to whenever we come across people that we're interacting with. We're looking at the body language. We're seeing if they're happy, they're sad, they're withholding information, they lying, all those type of things. So in this case, the two friends, they are hiding something from Riley. And that's when Grace, the other friend, was like, she just went ahead and spilled the beans, which is, hey, we're not going to be able to attend the same high school, and the coach that we did have, she's going to another school. And that's what sets Riley up for survival mode. Like, oh my gosh, I'm going to be at a new school alone. I'm not going to have my friends. They're going to be at a different school. What did I do? And before she interacts with the new set of friends, which is the hockey team, that the coach that approached them at their game, which is the Firehawks coach team, before Riley even interacts with them, that's when her parents ask her, is her phone charged? Does she have everything she needs? And be sure to call us whenever you are needed some support, or you just need somebody to talk to. And Riley's like, I'm fine. Hurry up and get out of here. Okay. So once Riley closes the door, she went, after suppressing the emotion that, oh my gosh, my friends are not going to be with me once we go to high school anymore. That's when she releases some tears. Okay, that's when sadness comes into play, because she was, even though she was told that news, she was keeping up, she was suppressing those emotions and keeping a straight face until she let out a couple of tears. And then once Val, which is the Firehawks captain but the top player, approaches her, she immediately bounces back like, okay, let's get into cool girl mode, right? Which leads into my other think piece of a sense of finding a sense of belonging and friendship. I know I was about to do joy versus anxiety, but after I decipher, give y'all pointers or context of why finding a sense of belonging as well as friendships is another key point from this movie, is going to fall in place. Okay. So the third key pointer, and I already went through body language. So this is more like the fourth point. Okay. Let's see. Puberty. I went through puberty. I went through suppressed emotions. I went through body language. So yeah, this will be the fourth, which is finding a sense of belonging and friendship. Is another key factor that I got from the movie, because whenever we enter the stage of puberty, we're meeting a whole new set of friends. Depending, I mean, depending on the school format, because each school formats are different in the United States. You got some areas that will have fifth and sixth together as intermediate, seventh and eighth as middle school slash junior high, and then you have others, and then of course, 9th through 12th in high school. And then there are some parts that will have it all together, like fifth grade with elementary, and then sixth and seventh and eighth grade as middle school, and then 9th through 12th as high school. And then you'll have other portions of the country that will have fifth and sixth as intermediate. They'll have seventh and eighth as junior high school or middle school. And then they'll have ninth grade separately, because ninth grade is fresh meat mode, and then high school 10 through 12th grade. So just depending on where you are in the nation, when you're turning 13 or you're hitting puberty and you're going to either middle school or high school, or not high school, but middle school or junior high school or even high school, that's where um that's where you're meeting a whole new set of friends or a whole new set of people in the environment. And this is where you really have to find your sense of belonging and friendships, if they were not developed fully in elementary school. Because when you're in elementary, you're always going to get the feedback from the kids. Like one day they'll be friends, the next day they fighting with each other, and then they're back friends again, and they not friends anymore. And that's the tussle between, okay, is this person really for me, or are they really not? Or they're just still trying to figure themselves out around that time when they're in elementary school, and a little bit in intermediate with that fifth and sixth grade. But definitely when it comes to middle school and junior high school and high school, that's when um, we start to really try to find our tribe. Okay. So that's when ennui comes into place. Ennui comes into place because when Riley, first off, because the stream of consciousness didn't break away until later on, but ennui comes into place when interacting with the Firehawks crew versus her original crew with Grace and her other friend. um because you try to act all cool and cool, calm, and collected, and not overly dramatic, and you're just trying to fit in with the crowd. You're trying to fit in with the status quo, right? Which will bring upon the thought process of I'm good at hockey, I will make good friends. If I'm good at hockey, I'll make good friends. Because while at this camp, even though she has her two friends, she also has she has it in the back of her head, in her subconscious. That's when that anxiety comes into play. That, yeah, I'm still gonna have this last hoorah with my two childhood friends. Um, yeah. So the goal for Riley now, according to anxiety, is if she is good at hockey, then she'll make good friends, which would be the Firehawks. She'll begin to have a sense of belonging and gain a friendship with the Firehawks. Okay. So um during this during the movie, she starts hanging with the Firehawks, starting with being divided into teams. Because at one point before they break off into teams to um to continue on with the camp and do conditioning and stuff like that, she was Riley was with her two friends at clowning around in the locker room and causing the team to do exercises. You know how freshmen would get on the team, and they're excited to um be in this new environment and stuff like that. And then once the discipline and the conditioning start happening, well, that's when the breakdown starts happening as well. So that's when anxiety, after the team had got in trouble because of Riley and her friends acting nonchalant with the coach in the locker room, that's when anxiety comes into play and be like, oh no, baby, since we already have noticed that the other two would not be with Riley physically at the same high school, we gonna have to readjust some things. We're going to make friends with Val and the crew. Okay. So that's whenever it was time, after the drills had got done from acting up in the locker room, that's when anxiety comes into play and be like, okay, let's go ahead and do away with this beautiful, bright blue sense of belonging, good person sector. We're going to toss that out and we're going to start a new one so we can do whatever is necessary for Riley. Okay. So that's what leads to Riley choosing the team, the Firehawks team, then going over to her friends and being on a team with them along with other girls, because it's all about survival at this point, especially on Riley's end. It's all about survival because the two friends, they have each other going to high school. Riley doesn't have anybody going to high school. So that's when anxiety again comes into play, that she's going to do whatever is necessary to make friends with the Firehawks. So she will have a sense of belonging and she will be able to gain some form of friendship with them as a survival tactic in high school. All right. Now, that will lead to the fifth point of the battle between joy and anxiety. Okay. Okay, which leads to the second point of joy versus anxiety. Okay, who is the head emotion in charge? And if y'all use that, make sure you credit a girl, head emotion in charge, HEIC. Okay, who is going to take on the battles? So the first pointer I came across mine when it comes to joy versus anxiety is when it comes to having a sense of self with a moral compass or doing what is best to fit into the status quo. And that's what I mentioned in um the previous point between finding a sense of belonging and developing new friendships or as well as maintaining friendships. That's when comes into play. When you're trying when in the beginning you had a sense of self and moral compass, and now that you're feeling like you're being left out in the cold, now it's time to do what is best for yourself. That's what anxiety comes into play. Not both Now, to both joy and anxiety's credit, they have good intentions for Riley. It's just one is going to override the other in some capacity, depending on the circumstance. Like, for example, with Joy wants to do what is best for Riley because um, if there is no, which that'll be mentioned further along in my pointer as well. Joy wants to make sure Riley is happy in anything and everything she do. Meanwhile, with anxiety, yes, her intention um is good with Riley as well. She wants to make sure Riley is doing what is best for herself, but at what cost? Okay? And you don't want to do what's best for yourself and be selfish. You want to do what's best for yourself, and so you won't be able to for the you want to do what is best for yourself for the greater good. And yourself without being selfish. Okay, that's the best way to put it. Um, because I know people are so bent about sticking or being in the status quo like High School Musical, but that's not gonna cut it in this day and age. Okay, it's either you be you, or you're going to continue to live behind a mask. Okay, now the next pointer I want to talk about what in regarding to joy versus anxiety is how Riley was met her idol, which prompts her to make new friends with the established hockey team, the Firehawks, and breaking away from her childhood friends because they are going to another high school. So again, when joy this is joy and anxiety battle comes into play. The joy of meeting your new idol, the joy of having your friends there, or having this last hoorah at the hockey camp before separation happens. But then that anxiety comes into play because one, you're meeting a whole new set of people that you don't know, and you want to make sure you're not embarrassing yourself. That's when embarrassment comes into play. um to make it seem like you're super awkward and you're not going to be able to fit in their crew. And then anxiety comes into play with the childhood friends because the separation begins to some capacity when it comes to Riley choosing whether she wants to practice with the team, with the established Seahawks team and a couple other girls, or she's going to go on the side with her friends and and uh uh and do the last hoorah from there as well. And for a moment, she was about to go on the side with her friends, which is what Joy would want Riley to do. But that's when anxiety oversteps and be like overpowers Joy and like, no, we're going to do what is best for Riley, and we're going to go on to the other side. We want her to be the best, if not better than Val, in order to get on the team. Because that was another goal as well, to get on the team. Okay. Because Val was able to get on the team within her first try of being with the Seahawks by scoring 2 points when they had the scrimmage game. That's what led Val to be on the team. And now for anxiety, that was the goal for Riley, is to make the team, but make 3 to 4 goals other than the 2 goals that Val had originally had established in her stats. Another thing that was happening between joy versus anxiety was joy was having a breakdown. um that's when that toxic positivity comes into play, but joy can't help it because that is her character, of running out of ideas to try to get back to headquarters because they have been booted out by the other set of emotions, specifically anxiety. And that what leads in a moment of realization happens, which that'll be explained furthermore in the last topic, is when anger is being the voice of reason for joy. Um, so I thought that was nicely well put with that. And then lastly, with the pointer, last pointer with joy and anxiety is, I said, looking at things from another lens, positive, and going through the motions. See, I forgot. Well, I didn't even forget. I just didn't write what was afterwards. But um yeah, when it comes to joy and anxiety, they both have different perspectives, um a different type of positivities, instead of just going through the motions. Okay, with joy, she was with joy, um on this one, of course she is already programmed to look at things from another perspective, be optimistic. And then with anxiety, she had other workers within the memory universe. That's what I'm gonna call it, the memory universe, because the agents that was working in the memory universe, making sure the memories are still well in stock and polished, and removing any memories that are no longer brightened or no longer have color in them. They were too busy in the imagination land with anxiety, trying to come up with ideas, other scenarios, other perspectives, the worst case scenarios, whether they were good or bad, um, to make sure Riley does not make those mistakes. Okay. So that's what I meant by the joy versus anxiety battle, because um we all go through the battle between joy, finding joy, and the battle of anxiety, where in most cases anxiety takes over the feeling of joy, because we tend to overthink and overanalyze everything, and we feel like we're not good enough to continue on the task at hand. Okay. And then that brings to my last pointer of self acceptance and self realization. Um, First pointer in that is that I want to address with that is when Joy was saying that, again, as I was saying in um the previous topic, is that Joy was not able to come up with any more ideas, um because that's what leads her to the realization of, well, what am I missing here? And that's what lead her saying, maybe this is what happens when you grow up, you miss out on joy. And I that poses the question for me to ask you all, uh, as you grow up, as you continue to grow up, have you start missing out on finding a sense of joy in this fast-paced environment? Have you start missing out on a sense of joy? Or because there is always a fear, we've how should I say it, since the social media age has came about, there's always been a sense of FOMO mentality, fear of missing out. Because if we're not talking about the latest topic at hand, or if we put the phone down for a couple minutes and something new, some news start breaking, and we don't are not able to get to it right away, it's just like, well, oh my gosh, I'm trying to see what everybody's talking about, what everybody's talking about. And same goes for going somewhere and you're stuck at work, or you're stuck at home taking care of the kids, or you're just stuck at home sick, and you see posts on social media of everybody having fun at this particular event, and you're like, dang, I'm missing out on that because of this and that. So again, I want to post a question to you all. Do you have you came across the realization that you have been missing out on joy in your life? If so, comment down below in the comment section. All right. Um and again, that's when a moment of realization comes into place, when anger out of all emotions now, anger comes to her rescue and gives her a little pep talk like, hey, I get it. you you know, you have been the backbone, you have been the driving force of what is keeping Riley doing what she's doing. She loves hockey. You help her bring out the best of her in hockey and stuff like that. And I was like, for an emotion that just go out in a tangent and just let everything loose with no, and lets all the moral compass goes out the back window, is giving Joy the realization that she needs. Okay. So um and then also with anxiety coming to a realization as well. Meaning uh when after anxiety had put in the last how should I say, I guess I could say memory, the last memory ball into the pond of consciousness, um or the yeah, I'll say the pond of consciousness, because eventually the rope um starts going up to still build up the moral compass of a being. So when anxiety puts in that last piece and it completes the moral compass on the anxiety level, that's what causes Riley, instead of anxiety thinking Riley is going to say that same scenario in the beginning, stating, if I'm good at hockey, I'll make good friends. It's saying a whole nother thing, which is uh I'm not good enough, which leads to overthinking. And the overthinking comes into play in anxieties uh with this background on anxiety, is because when Riley had went into the coach's office while everybody was asleep, she went into the red book to see what the coach had said about her, like the feedback on Riley, and it was not what she expected, which led to Riley like, well, if the coach feels like I'm not ready, then I'm not good enough. So I need to go out here and go full throttle and make it do what it do. And that's what happened. She goes out to the ice ring. She does a couple of shots. Val comes in because she has already conditioned herself to come and do some early pucking in the goal. And then the game starts. Riley is doing her thing. She's making the goals, but she's not being a team player at the same time, because she still got this you still got anxiety on the motherboard, going full throttle on the court, which leads anxiety to get to glitch, because Riley ends up hitting one of her, or running into one of her childhood best friends, and Riley has to sit out. She's going into a panic attack. And as she's going to this panic attack, um, there's a whole anxiety storm going on around the motherboard, to where the emotions are trying to break the sector away from what anxiety had built within Riley. and Joy is trying to get anxiety from the motherboard, but she's too glitching enough to where she can catch her, but eventually she does. And that's when Riley gave anxiety a realization that we cannot choose what Riley is. And that's true. We don't have the choice to choose what other people want to feel or how to feel. They can only feel how they feel. We have to be able to honor ourselves and honor each other on how we feel about situations, and just let it ride until we are able to come back into ourselves and be able to have conversations with other people or within ourselves to be like, hey, you are good enough. You are able to get through this thing. You are able to make the team. You're able to still have your friends. You're still able to make new friends, and so forth and so on. So um and that brings me to my last pointer with going back to Riley when it comes to joy and anxiety. They both have good intentions for her, but it comes at a detriment when Riley is not able to learn from her mistakes. Joy, for example, in the first movie, Joy was able to take all the bad memories, the compromising memories, and put them away and then flush down the new memories so she can keep them. And anxiety, she was doing basically the same thing, except she was planning ahead of time before the scenario even happens, and it backfired on her as well. So say it's safe to say the movie, it speaks a lot about how to identify your emotions and process your emotions at the same time, and evolving as a person in self-discovery. But I have a couple questions for you to pose, which is, do you suppress your emotions? Do you let strangers tell you how you should feel about yourself? And what are you missing that brings you joy? So sound off in the comment section below and let me know what you think about the Inside Out 2 movie. I do have to say that hopefully within the next installment that they'll bring upon trauma or grief emotion to help for little kids as well as adults to identify how those particular emotions affect our day-to-day lives as well. So with that being said, I'll see you guys, and let me know down in the comment section below. Be sure to like, share, comment, and subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you guys in the next video.